Greetings everyone, I'm Lahong and we are KSP Group. Today we'll talk about the company Towns of Maine. I'll make an introduction and background of the company, then my groupmates will talk about the problem statements, result discussions for the research and finally the conclusion. Let us start. Towns of Maine was established in 1970. It's famous for providing consumers with personal care products with fully natural ingredients. Currently, it's owned by Colgate-Palmolive conglomerate. Towns of Maine was founded by Tom and Kay Chappell. The company's goal were Tom and Kay's personal ethics to help people live a more natural life. The first successful product was natural fluoride toothpaste, released in 1978. At that time, the fluoride products were considered unnatural to most of the people. However, the company became famous because of the natural products, and they started to develop more. Towns of Maine was sold to Colgate-Palmolive in 2006 because Tom considered the company itself could not fulfill the increasing demands in natural products, and thus partners were needed. It is worth discussing the company's principles, personal ethics and values of founders, and after becoming the child company of a large conglomerate, if the goals and cultures of the company can still be retained. My groupmates will talk about problem statements later. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Subhav Shah. I'm here to answer discussion question 1. Does the terms of main experience prove that one can do business with principles? Or are there business realities that make it hard for others to copy this principle management model? Firstly, we'll be looking at the moral management model, where we see three different types of managers when it comes to morals. Immoral manager, who actively behaves opposite to what is ethical, the moral manager, who conducts a high standard of ethical behavior, and the amoral manager, who doesn't consider ethics at all. So, was very few percentage of immoral and moral managers. Most of the managers are amoral managers. So Tom Shackle, the founder of Tom's of Maine, he belonged to the minority of moral managers. He believed that he was here to succeed, but according to his principles. So he never wanted to betray his own principles. He highly encouraged his employees to support charity causes and even permitted employees to contribute 5% of their work time to voluntary activities. As a company, Tom's of Maine started donating 10% of pre-tax profits to charities, arts such as arts organizations, environmental works, and curbside recycling programs. All of the products were created with natural ingredients and they were packaged in recycled materials as much as possible. They even supported an investment in high quality of life for both current and future generations. Throughout all of this, through their charitable actions and consistent ethical decisions, they got various accolades. They got huge sales. They got recognized by Colgate, and they also got a very well-earned trust, reputation, and public image. All this led way to their success, which does prove that it is possible to do so. And in the end, for their legacy, they got a high appreciation from employees and customers, and they also encouraged employees to apply the same ethical and moral principles. It's a very motivational story as well because, in spite of past mistakes, they retried countless times until they got it correct. So, going back to the our question, I would say that yes, the terms of my experience does prove that one can do business with principles.
Now let's move on to question 2. How much does Tom's values and ethics affect their company? First of all, how much does managers' behavior actually impact the ethics? Based on studies, majority of workers agree that their manager has a primary influence on company culture. A manager who can display his values through actions has a much greater impact than the formal guidelines on ethics. So what are some examples of Tom's personal values that shaped his company? As we discussed previously, Tom supported sustainability. One of his values was a cruelty-free policy, which means he eliminated any use of animal testing on his products. At that time, his ban on animal testing resulted in 7 years of delay of getting ADA seal of approval. So, how did this delay affect the company? ADA is a national certificate of quality for toothpaste, and the first issued ADA seal tripled sales of infamous Crest Company. So it means by delaying ADA, Tom experienced major financial losses. Nevertheless, he stayed loyal to his values and instead invented ways to test toothpaste without harming animals, which later paid off in the long term. What you see here is a great example of corporate social responsibility, or shortly CSR, where organization serves best interests of society. And Tom is a good example of steward, a person who protects interests of society at large. There are several views on CSR, and Tom's of Maine can be best described as socioeconomic view. Unlike classical view, which Tom jokingly called as business as usual, Tom's considers both social and environmental performances along with economic aspects in his decisions. So how did this CSR help Tom in startup environment? Well, it allowed them to get a loyal customer base, create a public image and a solid reputation, which helped them to form later a very successful company. And now I will pass on to my groupmate.
Hi, my name is Niranjan, and I will be discussing question 3. The biggest threat that Tom faces in its new life within Colgate's global corporate structure are compromising Tom's founding principles and conflict of interest between Tom and Colgate. One of the major disadvantages of merging with a large corporation such as Colgate is the fact that there is a clear and present risk of the larger stakeholder to make changes in the company. Although Tom and Kate have labeled the merger as a partnership, Colgate remains the majority stakeholder at 84%. Although Tom maintains his position as the CEO, he still has to answer to Colgate for any major changes, as Colgate has the controlling number of board members. No matter how much Colgate claims that they will not change the corporate culture of Tom's of Maine, it is within their rights to subsume Tom's of Maine's corporate culture into its own. Conflict of interest. Colgate is a Fortune 500 for-profit organization which would ideally expect all of its employees to use 100% of their time to increase Colgate's profits. However, initiatives such as donating 10% of profits pre-tax to charities and urging employees to spend 5% of their work time on charitable causes is a clear conflict of interest with Colgate's global goal to maximize profits. Tom's vision of Tom's of Maine is to become the trusted partner in natural care among consumers and whom we share common values. This vision relies on the premise that Tom's of Maine shares the same values and beliefs as the consumer. However, after the merger, what matters is that Colgate shares Tom's vision and mission. Logically, changing the corporate culture of Tom's of Maine would be a ludicrous mistake, as it would remove Tom's of Maine's real value and would render the company worthless.
Hi, my name is Jerwin, and I will discuss the way Tom's of Maine operates after it got purchased by Colgate. The first example is the lawsuit regarding their toothpaste product. And yeah, customers aren't always ignorant. They research constantly about the materials being used. And there was a dispute between the customer, which is Angel Amansel, because she sued Colgate over the usage of the word natural. However, all these materials are present in the products and they are not deemed natural. Therefore, there was a dispute regarding how misleading it was. And secondly was the deodorant lawsuit. And similar to the toothpaste, there were some materials and chemicals that are processed, and therefore another customers claim that the natural label is misleading because the reason they're willing to pay the premium price tag is because of that label. Colgate, however, defended itself that the usage of word natural is not defined, that it has to be 100% natural. Therefore, from customers' perspective, a lot of these go green customers, they hate greenwashing from companies when they start off as environmentally friendly and all for natural product. However, they start cutting corners because they want to gain bigger profit margins. However, these customers also want to see the product that are environmentally friendly to be distributed to a lot of countries and wider supplies. Therefore, healthy and supportive customers understands that yeah, Tom's of Maine made a good move by selling itself to Colgate because yeah, even though there's give and takes here and a decrease in quality regarding the purity of the natural ingredients, Tom's of Maine gained the channel of distribution that Colgate has, and it enables them to distribute these natural product to a lot of other countries.
My name is Diaz, and I'm going to be covering the rest of this presentation. Now, the company had to provide some feedback to the customers after the brand's wholesome image was smeared by the lawsuits. In 2016, after settling all of the outstanding lawsuits, the company had released a blog covering the class settlement and how it would affect their practices. The company decided to settle all the lawsuits for a total of 4.5 million USD. Their reasoning for settling out of court, instead of going through the trial, was that time consumed on this issue is not worth the money, and Tom's wanted their employees to focus on product innovations instead. One more important fact is that Tom Chappell, the founder of the company, has stepped down as a CEO and subsequently left the organization. Now there is no guarantee that the original vision for Tom's of Maine is being supported in the company these days. In conclusion, Tom's of Maine has been an example of a company built on principles of honesty, transparency, and decency. The company has built itself a credible name, a loyal base of customers, and have pioneered some of the advances in humane practices. The discussion questions we have covered throughout the report touch upon some of the decisions that Tom Chappell took as a CEO of organizations. These decisions have positively affected the company image, his standing with the employees, and relationship with public. Tom's of Maine is a proof that one does not need to compromise their values to succeed. However, this could also be an example of how corporate practices and inability to follow the original vision of the founder could lead to a downfall of the organization based on such vision. While Colgate promised to uphold the practices that lead to Tom's of Maine becoming a beloved brand, the recent lawsuits and legal problems indicate that the foundations of the company are now compromised. Only time will tell if the new management could win the favor of the customers and help promote the green practices that the company used to be known for. And this is the end of our presentation. If you have any questions, we would be glad to answer them. Thank you.